Hi, welcome to Wednesday. Let's get the commercials out of the way first. We are still in Mercury retrograde, and so that won't be over until the 20th. There is a new moon tomorrow on the 11th, and Eastern Standard Time is 2:06 p.m. So for those of you that are watching this today, the day that it's being aired, you'll know what's going on. The next Zoom is on February 22nd, Monday. This one on Friday is filled. And for those of you that watch Wednesday mornings, we will not be here next Wednesday morning. Next Wednesday evening at 5:30, there will be a YouTube, but there won't be a live one in the morning on the 17th. 6 months ago, I had to make a medical appointment, and you don't know what's going on in 6 months. And I tried to change it, and I have to wait 5 months, so I can't. So there will be no 10 a.m. Get together next Wednesday morning. Okay, today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. When you die, the bright white light is right there for you. Long lingering deaths, the white light will actually show up maybe a week, 10 days before. You start seeing people that have crossed before you, moms, dads, spouses, brothers, sisters, good friends, so that you know that when you take your last breath, you will not be alone. That white light will stay with you for 48 to 72 hours after the final memorial service, which gives you enough time to snoop around, go into people's houses, but you're going to notice that that light is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If you do not go into that white light, now you are stuck. And as 90% of you know, these are the spirits that I speak to, the ones that have not gone into the light. These are the spirits that cause problems for you, the energy drain for you, and everything else that goes with that. It is free will. If you want to go into that light, you're going to go. If you don't want to go, you're not. Nobody's pushing you. Nobody is pulling you. Free will. If you do not want to go to that light, then you are going to be earthbound, but that will be your choice. So now here's the case that I did. About 25 years ago, this lady called me up, and her kids were young, and her kids were sick all the time. She had problems in the house, so she called me up, and she asked me if there was something going on. And there was. She had bought a old swing set, one of these wooden ones that whoever's kids had outgrown it, and they took it all apart, and so they bought it. It had the fort at the top, and it was pretty elaborate. Well, when they brought it home, they put it together, and they put it in a good foundation so the kids weren't going to get hurt or anything on it. And it seemed like every time one of her kids got on that thing, somebody got hurt. And it turned out that there was a child, not a little bit older than her kids, that was like 10, 11, 12 years old, that was a real bully. And he came to the house with that swing set. Surprisingly, it was not his when he was alive, but he was still attached to that swing set for some reason. Every time one of her kids were on that swing set, they fell off. They got hurt. The one almost had a broken wrist. And again, a ghost can't do this to you, but they can distract you where you get hurt. It would come into the house, scare the kids at night. The one kid had to have tubes put in their ears, ear, nose, throat, upper respiratory, constantly. So went out to the house, cleared it out, it was fine. And the wife had a little bit of negative energy on her, which sort of surprised me. And I said to her, gosh, I said, I don't know why. I says, but you do have some negative energy on you. I says, it's really not on the kids, which of course they could be affected by it, but it wasn't on them per se. I said, not on your husband. And he was there. And so she sort of put her head down, or her eyes down. And I looked at the husband. I said, what's going on? And he said, oh, it's my mother. He says, my mother got into it again with us, and there's just no pleasing her. She is just, you can't make her happy. I said, yeah, some people are like that. And turns out he's an only child, and she had divorced his father when he was like 9 or 10, so it was just the two of them. She was very possessive of him, and his wife was not who she wanted to be married to her son. Now, it was interesting because she kept saying, well, my grandchildren, my son's grandchildren. And the wife said, I'm so tired of her that it's like I didn't have anything to do with it. And I said, I've actually known people like that. So I took the negative energy off of her, and that took care of that. Well, it was about 7 or 8 years later, I get a call from this lady, and she said, I don't understand what's going on. She says, my house is absolutely miserable. And she had a portal in her house. And I'm thinking, what in the world? I said, your seeds are still up. She said, yes. I says, you've got a portal. I said, what the heck happened? Because portals are blown open by live people, not dead people. She said, my husband's mother had a mild stroke, and we moved her in with us. And she said, all she does is fight. She's so contrary. Nothing is right. She's miserable. She's making all of us miserable, but my husband's guilty, and he says she's got to stay. And she cries every time we tell her to put her in assisted living or some kind of nursing home. And I said, well, I said, there must have been one heck of a fight. She said, oh boy, was there ever. I says, was it around the dining room? She said, that's exactly where it was at, because that's where the portal was. I said, what was the problem? She said, we added on to the back of the house and made her sort of like her own bedroom and washroom. And she thought it was too far away. She wanted us to make the dining room into a bedroom for her. And she said, my husband actually stood up to her, but she was so angry. And I said, about 6 weeks ago? She said, that's exactly right. So she had a really creepy ghost that had come out of the portal in the house. So I go out back to her house, got rid of the creepy guy, closed the portal, and now there's the mother talking to me. And she could talk just fine. The stroke was really, really mild. Personally, I don't see why she still couldn't have lived by herself, but it's not my mother. So she said, well, she doesn't cook right for me. There's stuff I should eat and stuff I can't eat and stuff I want to eat. And her daughter-in-law looked at her and she said, Mother, you have to eat what the rest of the family is eating. She says, I cook healthy. There's nothing I cook that you can't eat. She said, you get mad and angry at me because I don't have chips in the house or pretzels in the house, or salsa in the house, and I never have donuts in the house. She says, I make healthy desserts. You don't like them. They taste funny. She said, she says, I don't know what else to do. And I looked at the mother and I said, this is going to cause some serious problems between your son and her. And she said, well, I could take care of the kid. She could leave. It would be fine. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what worst nightmare for a mother-in-law. So I closed the portal, tried to calm the mother down, and I'm thinking, this is never going to work. I said to the mother-in-law, I says, the next time you feel a need to rage or get angry at your son or her, I says, don't do it in the house. I says, because this is causing problems, I said, and you don't want bad stuff coming out of a portal that you blow another one up. You've got kids in the house. You're not at 100% of health. Think about it. She said, fine. And I never ask anybody this because I think, well, I don't really want to know. But I said to her, you don't even believe in any of this stuff. She says, no, I actually don't. And I said, okay. I said, your Timex watch that you just think is the best watch ever. She goes, yes, and I had it on all the time. She says, and I know she took it. And she's looking at her daughter-in-law. And I said, no, she did not take it. And she says, what do you mean? I says, it's in your drawer. I said, the second drawer down in your nightstand. She says, no, it's not. There's no jewelry in that drawer. I says, that's where the ghost put it. And she said, I don't believe you. And I said, that's okay. You don't have to. And she took her cane and she walked out and she came back and she said, there it was. And I said, well, the ghost did that. And she looked at her daughter-in-law and she says, no, she did it. There was no pleasing her. So about 3 years after that, I get a call. She died. And I said, are you calling to have me come to the funeral? She says, no, the funeral's over. She said, we buried her, and she says, but things are still going really crazy in the house. She says, I don't understand what's going on. And because I can see inside of her house, there was her mother-in-law. I says, oh my gosh, your mother-in-law did not cross over. She said, I have the seeds up. How did she get in? So here we go. When you first die, you have your white light around you. You are not stuck. You aren't stuck until that white light disappears. So what did mother-in-law do? She came into the house because she wasn't stuck. She could go under the seeds. Excuse me. And she was in the house, and her light disappeared while she was in the house. So she was earthbound in the house, and because the seeds were up, she couldn't get out. And if you thought she was making problems when she was alive, she was absolutely being horrible, being dead. The oldest grandchild was a girl, and she started getting in the teen space. She's just like her mother. She's going to be just as bad a wife to somebody as she is to my son. So I actually had to make the white light again, and this was scary because I can't grab anybody and throw them into the white light. They still have to go on their own. So I said to her, you've got two choices. I said, I'm going to have one of the seeds come down, and you can walk out the front door. I said, or I will make the white light and you can go to the light. She goes, I am not going to the light. And I said, well, you are going to get out of the house. And I said, and you will never be able to get back in. Well, I can go with my son when he's at work. I says, no, he carries the seed. You will not be able to get close to him. So she actually did go to the light. So here's the thing. When you've got somebody that loses their white light inside your protected house, they are stuck in your house. They cannot get out. And that's why when some people die, I'll get a call and they'll go, Dad just died. I want him to come through and see us. Should I take a seed down? No, he's not stuck. He can come and see you before he crosses over. Do not take your seeds down. We can fix it if something happens like what happened with this mother-in-law. So just keep all of that in mind. And next week, the letters have piled up, so I will be answering questions next week. And the following week, I'll be doing a case again. So have a really good week and stay warm for you guys around here and be safe. Thanks a lot.